Right, David, we're live, Madam Director. We're live. Anyway, good afternoon, David.
You stop cable tying her to a door. That's the thing. Seriously. I'm going to report you.
Anyway, afternoon, everyone. Welcome aboard. Let me get Facebook aboard.
Hi, guys.
I was just telling David I've been spoiling the audience, and I forgot to tell the audience.
I'm going to report you.
Kill the sound, please, David.
Right, that. Yeah. Didn't realise it was still on. We've got some interesting stories and bits and pieces like that for you guys, but there's a lot happening in the background. David and I were both discussing this before coming on here. Lots of moving and shuffling about and all the rest of it, reference all the main players within Westminster and also in the world. So there's maybe one or two juicy stories going to come off that in the coming weeks.
There might be. Anyway, Two Davies in the 17th of the 2nd, 2025. And as I was saying, David, been spoiling those on the naughty step because I've been putting scented candles in because I'm fed up with the smell of burning flesh. A lot of you people have been on the naughty step lately.
Oh dear. Please remove that brain cell.
Anyway, Reagan Wheat's in again this afternoon. Mods, can you put a link up to Reagan Wheat's channel, please? And any other bloggers YouTubers who come in. If we don't see them, please put a link up, mods, to their channels. Okay. Right, first up, David, latest polling. Doesn't look good for Labour.
Yeah, but the thing is, as we discussed it, it's like, if we took the polling as being absolutely what's going to happen, right? As we discussed, it would create 64 if they created a grand coalition of unionist parties, right?
Would be enough.
Yeah, if you join the SNP onto the Greens, that gives 65. Take one away from the Greens because that's the Speaker, let's say, or whatever they're called this week. So it's 64 plays 64.
They're called the presiding officer, David.
Presiding officer, yeah.
And it would be 64 aside, aye. Which is interesting because, funny enough, that same poll showed it to be 50-50 on the constitutional questions as well.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, on that poll, the breakdown would be SNP 55 seats, making it the biggest party. Labour 18 seats, Tory 18 seats, Reform UK 15 seats, Liberal Democrats 13 seats, Greens 10 seats, Alpa 0 seats. So, interesting poll, but the headline behind it was a Labour in free fall here in Scotland under Sarwar's leadership. Now, we know that he's a liar. We know that he's no credibility. But what we also know is it's not just Sarwar that's having that effect. It's Starmer and his Westminster regime as well.
Yeah.
I mean, scrap the winter fuel payment when we already pay the highest bills anywhere in Europe, even though we're a net producer of energy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Didn't go doing well. Keep the two-child cap. Didn't go doing well. Welshing on the waspy women. Didn't go
doing that to the waspy women, that's right, yeah.
And throwing Grangemouth under the bus.
Yeah.
As they weren't doing well. So there's a lot of what happened in Westminster, which has also seen the demise of Labour's support here in Scotland. And it would appear a fair few of them are going to reform, along with the Tories. The notion that reform would get 15 MSPs is pretty horrifying.
But when you look at who they are and where they're getting the support from, what do you think they're getting the support from?
Tories and Labour.
Yeah, Tories and Labour. That's right.
Red and blue Tories.
You don't nip a reform supporter. You actually simply pick them up from one of the other parties.
The other thing is, what's interesting is, was Sarwar lying or was he duped? The way that Brian Leishman claimed that he was duped.
Really, honestly, on this one, I really don't care. I really, really, really don't care. Because do you want me to take pity on Sarwar after what he's done and said? No chance.
No, but what I'm saying is he just a useful tool the way that Brian Leishman talked about?
He's a useful idiot, yes.
Because Brian Leishman's angry.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned, he's even said that he was voted in that constituency on a false premise because he pushed Labour saving Grangemouth and he believed that Labour would save Grangemouth.
Yeah.
And he's angry.
Yeah. Still no. He chose to be a Labour MP. He chose that route. As far as I'm concerned, the fact that Labour have lied, that's not something new, David. You know that.
No, we know it's no new. Right. But
can I return you to even older pages of Labour, right? What happened to the pensions? What happened to the pensions under Gordon Brown? What happened to the Chilcot inquiry under Blair?
Aye.
You look at all these, and you've got these are massive lies. So the fact that Starmer has done the same, nothing new, and why is anybody voting for Labour?
Well, in Scotland anyway, in England they don't have real much choice, do they? It's the hard right or the hard right or the hard right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If he feels that bad about it, walk the floor.
Yep.
He could walk the floor dead easy. He's got several directions that he could go if he really wanted to. But what he's interested in doing is kicking up stick as much as he possibly can.
What's David, that's not as far as Labour's got to fall.
Yeah.
Rachel, for accounts, actually does what she's talking about then, and extending the freeze on the entry level of income tax. In other words, extending the fiscal drag. Yeah. That's going to get down like a fucking. It's going to get down like a lead balloon as well.
Well, is it any worse than Mrs. Lettuce? You know.
It's worse. Oh. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Right. Okay.
Rachel, for accounts, is definitely worse than the lettuce.
Right.
And we're seeing that on the effect in the economy. When the Bank of England, as you and I both know, and as our audience knows, halves its growth estimate for the year.
That's quite something. That really is quite something.
And let's face it, 1.5% was not exactly what you call fucking setting the header alight anyway, is it?
Yeah. You look at the some of the worst think tanks out there, right? And for them to put out a broadcast, if you like, saying that we're going to half their prediction of growth, they'd be called for it. Whereas it's the Bank of England. Fuck's sake.
Aye, as I say, Labour have got further to fall.
Yeah.
Much further to fall.
Yeah.
And of course, people have become aware that the GB energy thing was a fucking wheeze and a lie as well.
Yeah.
fact is, people here in Scotland reflect on the promises that were made by Labour during those elections here in Scotland. Labour's still got a long way to go before they hit the vote.
Well, you know, just up the road from us, we've got Eastern Berkshire, and they elected a new councillor from Labour.
To be fair, David, the council would be swinging one way or the other. If you take Stirling there, the SNP picked up after Conservatives. Now the Labour have picked up after, is it Lib Dems are there in Eastern Berkshire?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of to and fro going on in the councils. There is, as the by-elections come round. So can't make much of the councils. What we do know is that...
Thanks, Davey. Thanks, Davey. From Davey Keane, £1.99. That's fine. It's down the bottom of the panel, David, on the right-hand side.
Yeah. I'm at David. It's moved on for here. It's moved on quick here. I've just a scanner was saying something about his son's friend is in the military, and they were told that after the next general election, some subscription will be rolled out. Or a conscription will be rolled out.
And Eddie Wolfie after that said, independence, independence, independence. Thanks, Eddie.
Anyway, so always not looking good, but Labour's still got a long way to drop here in Scotland, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Finance Minister Ivan McKee is setting up a summit with local authorities, government institutions, local authorities, third sector, business, and what they're looking at is radical reform of the public services. Now, why would the private sector be there?
No.
And why would the third sector, meaning voluntary organisations, be there?
Well, if they're talking about public institutions, public setups, then yes, they would have, if you let a dog in the fight, of course they would.
Business. Are they going to outsource public services? After all, they do in England.
It's something that I would imagine that has been looked at.
Anyway, Ivan's looking for radical reform and for efficiencies.
Yeah.
Now, we all know what efficiencies means in public service speak.
Well,
it means
someone I know very, very dearly is going through that right now in the public sector, where they're having to do much, much more with less colleagues running about them and produce more.
Yep.
You know.
But when they talk about efficiencies in the public sector, they normally mean cuts.
Yeah.
Now, what we're told by Mr. McKee was that last year they didn't hire.
Yeah.
So the amount of people in the public sector shrank. Now, at this point in time, the public sector makes up 22% of the Scottish economy.
Mm-hmm.
In England and Wales, it's roughly 17%. We have a bigger public sector.
That was always an argument. If the unionists used to always say, "Oh, look at the amount of people that are employed in the public sector in Scotland, much higher than England, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Tell us why, David. Why is there more people in the public sector in Scotland than there is in England?
Well, because we provide better public services. But lately, of course, David, since 2016, the public sector in Scotland has burdened because of the 15 new devolved benefits and the setting up of the Scottish Benefit Service. Now, what Ivan's talking about here is that they won't be hiring in 25-26, and they won't be hiring in 26-27 if the Scottish Government, if the SNP come back into government. But they won't be laying anybody off. They'll just let natural wastage take people away.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, setting up of these new agencies required an awful lot more people than what it takes to run them. So it would be expected that the public sector would contract a little. once these services are set up and put in place.
Yeah, that maybe works. But when you get right down to the minutiae of perhaps an office that carries out real work, I mean, the talking like people in public services that actually go out to people's homes, right? They might be working with someone. That someone might be coming to retirement age, and they're going to end up working on their own. What happens when they take a holiday? They're entitled to take a holiday with their family. It doesn't work in minutiae.
No, it doesn't. But in general, you're talking specifics, which is a very tiny part of. You're talking specifically social care.
Yeah.
Which is a very tiny part of government.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate that. Yeah.
So Bay State is office based. But I mean, the setting up of these new services meant you needed a department that was going to deal with procuring buildings and office space and things like that for these people. Then you needed people who would specialise in rigging these places out. Then you needed people who set up the actual mechanisms of the operation of that particular benefit. And then you don't need all the people anymore. You just need the people to run the office. No.
Set up an artificial intelligence to actually run the whole thing. That's the way.
That's what's going to happen anyway.
I know. I can see it.
No, we know it's happening. Standards tell us. He wants to build super AI. I mean, let's face it, you don't go to a job centre anymore, David. It's all done online.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, just replacing that person in the call centre that you used to speak to with artificial intelligence and artificial voice, that's not going to be that difficult soon.
Yeah. We've got to start looking at who isn't going to be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Yes. That's what we'll be looking at soon. Who isn't going to be replaced?
Yeah.
So, to say, Ivan, to get back on point, is talking about streamlining radical change or streamlining the public services efficiencies, and they're telling us that they're shrinking the amount of people in the public services over the next few years, but they are not doing it by sacking anybody. They're just going to let them drift away, retire, move on, out of the reign of cord, whatever. Simple as that. Right. Royal College of Emergency Medicine.
I take it that's something that is close to your heart, is the fact that you're working harder and you're getting less help to do so.
Yes, because then you can.
Yeah. We're just discussing Ava McKee's putting together putting everything together, local authorities, all the rest of it, right, to talk about efficiencies. Something like that.
Talk about efficiency?
Yeah.
Talk about getting more staff?
Yeah. I know.
Getting their staff knowing the agenda, Leslie.
Yeah.
And now there's a private discussion between us three when we're on air.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Martin Director. You're supposed to keep him in check. Right, let's get back on track, shall we, dear boy?
Thank you.
Royal College of Emergency Medicine are no chuff.
No.
They want more investment, and they want bed blocking unblocked. They want beds unblocked, because they say that 76,000 people last year waited more than 12 hours for to be seen in accident and emergency.
At first look, we did look at that and we thought, oh, is it BBC up to their old tricks again? But seemingly when we looked at the figures, we found that the is fair enough that they were.
1.5 million people through the doors at A&E last year.
Yeah.
So 76,836 of them waited for 12 hours or more. for to see or to get treated, and that equated to 1 in 18 patients that went through the NHS's door. That's no bad, David.
There can be all sorts of reasons for that. You know,
but the Royal College is specifically putting at the door of block beds.
Oh yeah. But you've got to look at it's down to individual stories, right? You got someone sat in a bed, they've had that operation, right? They might be getting on a bit in years, and there's a team that looks at them and looks at they able to get back home and operate back home, or we're going to see them in the next 5 minutes thrown back into hospital again. Yeah. So you must look at it that way. It's not as simple as, oh, you're blocking a bed, just get up, you know, get your clothes on, get your suitcase and get out of the door, right? It's not as simple as that.
No, it isn't. But what's interesting is, you know, the Royal College of Emergency Medicines wants bed blocking, or the practice of bed blocking, sort of taken care of, thanks very much, because 1 in 18 people had to wait for more than 12 hours because they couldn't go into a ward.
There used to be a team. That team used to have, yeah.
But if there's nowhere to put them, they need a decent social care system.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, we're back having the.
I know that. I'll just take myself out and you two can carry on. Hey, no, but you know, social care is where the problem is.
Yeah.
Can't get a care package quickly enough into place to get these people out. You've seen it yourself.
Yep.
You know, so it's not as bad as what we're being told.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look, hang on. Let me just give you a real world situation, right?
Don't, David. No, I don't want any real world situation.
David,
a rabbit hole coming in. I can't be.
No. There's this guy called David Milligan. He goes into the hospital, gets his leg off, right? Now, it's like you look at my house, standard house. Is the doors wide enough to get a wheelchair through, right? All those sort of things had to be looked at, right? And I constantly had people saying, "Are you able to go home now?" And I went, "No, I need such and such doing. I need handles put in the bathroom and all the rest of it, right?" And it was when all those things were in place, then I was able to go home and operate and live. And that's important, and that's what caused bed blocking, not just what people think of bed blocking. It can be all kinds of individual situations.
I know people think bed blocking is your balm.
You call it a balm, right? Seriously. You've got to look at each individual situation.
Yes, at the same time, Leslie's quite correct. The problem is social care and social care packages being correct quickly.
Right.
That's the point that the Royal Emergency Medicine, Royal College of Emergency Medicine is making. They're telling us that the reason why there are hods up in A&E is because there's hods up to get people out of wards when they're fit to go home.
So therefore, what they're doing is they're telling us something we already knew.
Well, you and I knew it. Doesn't mean everybody did.
Most people know that.
I think it makes people more credit than what they're due. But hey ho. When the figures break down, David, 1 in 18 had a 12-hour wait. That's no bad.
Okay.
1 in every 18 people through the door had a long wait. That's no bad.
Right. Don't forget, part of that is accident emergency.
It's not accident emergency. It's called the Royal College of Emergency Medicine.
Yeah, no, but you're not getting what I mean. It could be somebody walking in with a sore knee. Right? But they could go to the doctors and get treatment for it, right? They're going to A&E. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that. We've actually seen that where somebody has been in accident emergency asking for treatment on such and such. And to be honest with you, they've been better going to the local doctor's surgery. Something like
Well,
that.
you know, that's why we have triage. And if the person who's triaged them can't say, no, we don't deal with that, you're going to see your doc, there's a problem.
They don't do that.
Well, it's about time they did.
Yeah, but they don't do that. They simply don't do that.
Anyway, so the report of the day, you've got to put some context to it, folks. Okay, the report of the day reads that 76,000 people waited more than 12 hours. You've got to put some context to it. There was 1.5 million people went through the doors of A&E last year.
Yeah.
76,000, when you do the sums, is 1 in 18. That's not really what we would call a crisis, David.
But wait a minute, are we also talking about those people who went through the doors of A&E, perhaps couldn't get a doctor's appointment soon enough?
We're talking about everybody, David. 1.5 million.
David, I know what you mean. I know
Right.
exactly what you mean.
Right
Bloody
then.
obvious what you mean.
Right
But I'm
then.
trying to come and put things in so that the people watching this can contribute, if you like.
Aye. Well, as I say, we've been told it's a crisis.
Yeah.
76,000 people out of 1.5 million had a long wait. And it's been placed at the door of bed blocking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that being a crisis.
It's not a crisis. It needs to be addressed.
Oh,
It does
aye.
need to be addressed, right? But addressed in the day-to-day work of the Scottish government. Simple as that. Yeah.
It's going to be done across health and social care, and they wanted to integrate them, and as we know, that hasn't come to fruition.
That's the move forward. So the Royal College of Emergency, what was the name of them?
Royal College of Emergency Medicine.
Perhaps they should be arguing for getting that social care system a bit integrated with our NHS is more important than anything. If they want to see real improvements in that situation, then they should be laying their weight against the unions, against the councils, and say, get this set up. A national care service.
Which brings us back to the National Care Service, of course.
Yeah.
Right, so we're right round in circles. Right, this one was an interesting story, David. Let's try and keep on track this time, shall we? Time's of the essence. Right, Crown Office to take over a Port Morton services in Aberdeen, as there isn't a trained pathologist in the Aberdeenshire Health Board at the moment. Okay. Now, apparently, NHS Grampian spent over £100,000 last year drafting in locums in that speciality of medicine. Right. Yeah. Now, in the story, it tells us they're expecting it to be temporary, and that when the new city morgue opens up later this year, they should be able to recruit. Now, the interesting side of the story was we found out that they only train 5 pathologists, or they only make 5 training places open for pathology each year. But the story about the Crown Office, Crown and Prosecution and Procurator Fiscal Service taking over a mortuary and post-mortem services in Aberdeen was a very strange story, was it not? Because when we looked it up, who provides pathology services in Scotland, Wales, Northern England?
Yeah, it was them already.
It was already the Crown Office.
Already the Crown Office, and basically we're being told they're going to take over. And you look at it and you go, but you were already. Never mind, right?
Aye. So that's what made it an interesting story. Big story. Crown Office to take over pathology services in Aberdeenshire, and then you look at it and you realise the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service already operates the pathology departments here in Scotland, in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
It was just a known story.
Maybe they're going to change the letterhead or something like that, make it look different.
It was just a known story, David.
Right.
But it just shows you, end to make Scotland look shite. They'll even tell you a non-story to make it look shite.
As far
Right.
as I'm concerned, the Crown Office shouldn't be doing anything in Scotland.
Now, this is where Trump gets to take over everything, because he's taken
Yeah.
over all the airwaves.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
in this case, when it pertains to Scotland and the Scotland story, it's his Vice President, J.D. Vance, who has a go at Scottish family planning services.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be involved in such an important meeting with other leaders of sovereign states and to bring up these kind of arguments is screwy. It's crazy. Explain it. Go on. You do the.
Well, specifically, he was attacking abortion services in Scotland in the buffer zone around family planning services here in Scotland. Whereas,
Yeah.
you know, folks, we've spoke about this, there are specific clinics that only do abortion, but most of them are family planning and they offer other services at the same time. The other thing this lunatic said was that the Scottish Government had banned anybody living within these buffer zones from praying in their homes. Got to get the religion in there somewhere, haven't they?
Oh, I did. No, the chap that he brought up this picture of this chap stood looking at the door of this place, and he was praying. The police came and asked, "What are you doing, son?" "Oh, I'm praying. I'm praying for the unborn son of this couple, you know." And what happened was that the police pulled and grabbed them and went, "You're a nutter, and you come, right?" End of story, right? But Vance took that as being that's what everybody should do. That's what everybody should do, right?
Well, you know how Trump and that is on women's reproductive rights. You know.
Yeah.
Like Charlie Chaplin coming again on the act, are you?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hi, Mr. Bond.
So the Maddie has a goal, you know, but he doesn't get it right at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't get it right at all. These buffer zones are no there just for people to stop. They're no to stop them from harassing people who are going for abortions. They're not just harassing them.
Yeah,
they're harassing anybody using these facilities, whether it be for sexual health, whether it be for family planning, whether it be to pick up the free things that we offer, like diaphragms, condoms, contraceptive pill, you know, all these things. So the buffer zone's not just there because of the abortion services that some of these places offer.
Yeah.
It's there because of the other. It's putting people off going for other services as well.
And there should be a buffer zone. There should be a buffer zone.
And as Ginger's points out, the Americans will get buffer zones in these places and all. You know.
But for anybody to talk about the enemy within, and then start talking from America, and then start talking about Scotland, you think to yourself, what is this all about? Right?
Well, he also claims that free speech is at risk here in Europe, and he's fucking right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've seen what happened to those Palestinian protesters recently.
Yeah.
We've seen what happened to peaceful protesters at things like Just Stop Oil.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech is being clamped down on.
Yeah, but don't forget, hold on a second. He is undoubtedly a future fascist. Now, he might talk about that, but then if you start talking against him and his party or his friend Donald Trump, you'll be ordered into prison. Something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, as we move on with more entertainment coming from across the pond, here comes the headline in the Telegraph today. We'll put that up for you folks. Starmer, I am ready to put troops in Ukraine. PM puts pressure on European leaders to do the same at today's peace talks in Paris.
Right.
Now, of
Just
course,
just before we crack into this, so we don't miss anybody, John McGorran's put up £20,
thank
and
you,
he
John.
said, "Might there be an uprising in the States? I think the American folk will get so fed up with Trump's lunacy, it could happen."
I will. As you know, John, I'm talking about boycotting American consumer goods and American consumables. So,
Right. Let's get
let-
into this. Let's get into this properly. All right.
hey, Stammer, I'm ready
Okay.
to put troops
I'm
in the
ready
ground.
to put troops in Ukraine.
Yep.
Right. Why is he putting troops in the Ukraine in the first place? It is purely and simply to act, in his words, as a peacekeeping force. Right. So who's he actually peacekeeping? He's peacekeeping the people of Ukraine. Those who might go, "Oh, you're not keeping that bit of land. That belonged to my grandfather," or whatever, right? Russians have taken that away. That's what Starmer's going to end up doing. He'll end up putting the Ukrainians' head underneath the boots of British soldiers, right?
He's not
And
just talking about UK soldiers, Paul.
yeah, okay, but if we look at it from the point of view of, okay, let's say that Putin decides to lob a few more missiles into Ukraine after all is said and done, yeah, who are they going to peacekeep? Are they going to turn and attack the Russian army? No, they're only there to keep the Ukrainians quiet. That's what they're there for.
Well, anyway, they're talking about after the event of any end of hostilities. And
There is no the end of the hostilities when it comes to the Russians. The Russians will move forward until a superior force makes them back off, right? As soon as that superior force is settled down, they move forward again. That's what the Russians have always done.
well, as I say, to put it in context, he's talking about European forces enforcing any new borders that come out of these ceasefire talks or the end of hostility talks. But you make a good point there, David. It wouldn't be the Russians who'd be trying to peacekeep, it would be the Ukrainians, because they would be told this is what's happening against their will.
Yeah.
Because as we know, they're not being invited round the table. And the headlines this morning, Putin says no place for European leaders at peace talks. Trump's telling Zelensky there's no room for you and your people at peace talks. As we have a summit, or as the European leaders have a summit in Paris today, and Trump's in Saudi Arabia talking to Putin.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
so in other words, what you're saying is Trump and Putin are carving up Europe for their own likes and dislikes.
I wonder if Trump gets Greenland at it.
Maybe.
What I will say is, Pete Hegseth has already stated, that's the Secretary of Defence in America, he's already stated that Putin will be taking what he's already got.
Yeah.
So he'll be taking the Donbass and the Crimea and keep them.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians are not getting a say in this, and history tells us that won't end well.
No, because I feel that Zelensky will put together a regroup, if you like, and he will start things actually as Putin and Trump are trying to do a wee bit of a deal.
Well,
Simple as that.
Zelensky's already said, it doesn't matter what the two of them put together. If we're not at the table, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
In other words, we're no stopping.
Yeah. You've got to admire Zelensky for that, for the fact that he is, he's always been the back foot because they're Ukraine rather than Russia, right? And I can only look at it from the point of view of, well, I wish him well. I don't think it'll end well, but
It was never going to end well.
Yeah, there's no way I can do anything
But
other
you're
than
absolutely right. With Trump,
yeah.
he tells Putin, just keep your goat and stop fighting. Shut up, Zelensky. Your country's shrank.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna happen. And even if they could enforce the new borders for a wee while, the Ukrainian people, as you pointed out, they'll be wanting their land back.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll be wanting their land back. You know. But as I say, it's interesting. There's no room for Europe at the table. There's no room for Ukraine at the table. Who the fuck do these two muppets think they are?
Well, I don't know about Putin, but Trump is it's looking as if he's God Almighty, something like
Brilliant. I mean, let's have a look at Trump so far. He is definitely an expansionist.
that.
Greenland,
Yep.
Canada,
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, Gaza.
Yep.
Which brings us on to the comedy part of this show. Where's Chuck?
I know. King Big Ears.
Where is Chuck?
Be told he's at Middlesbrough today playing table tennis.
Aye, but here, get this. Veterans in America are going to have their fucking nut at Trump comfying up with Putin. Veterans here in the UK are wondering where fucking Chuck is.
Yeah.
We all signed up and swore allegiance to the crown, their heirs, and their realm, and to protect their realm. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? Last time I fucking looked, Canada's part of the realm.
Yeah.
Where is Chuck?
Yeah.
Why isn't Chuck picking up the fucking phone to Trump and saying, "Oi, Trumpy boy, that's mine. Get your fucking paws off."
He would never do that. He would never do that. He's too much of a fucking coward. He's a little boy. He's a little boy that's grown old.
I'll tell you what.
Was a super chat. What was that?
That was for Alistair Kelly, and I'm just scrolling down and catching up.
Right.
Because they move that fast, David.
Yeah.
The chat. So, where is Chuck? His realm's being threatened. Where is he? The big coward. Oh, that's right. He's playing ping pong with some kids in Middlesbrough today.
Yeah.
With the adulterous witch or woman that he calls the Queen. He's an adulterer. She's an adulteress.
Yeah.
You know.
She was only to be acknowledged as what's the word I used? Consort. It's consort.
Aye.
And she was not to be called the Queen. And that was according to Queen Elizabeth before she died.
Aye.
Yeah.
But she's pregnant now, David, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, but nowhere is Chuck. It's interesting, isn't it? You know, his realm is under threat from an ex-colony and from a man who claimed to have a admiration for the royal family. You know,
the interesting thing is that if Scotland takes its independence and we declare a republic, in other words, dispense with the services of the monarchy, I wonder how that will go down in places like Australia or Canada that in the past have voted to retain the monarchy.
Well, I can't see the Canadians voting to retain the monarchy again. After all, the monarchy's just thrown Canada under a fucking bus.
Yeah, I know.
You know, to say I've been looking at this and going, oh, come on, where's Chuck? Come on, Charlie boy, where are you? Go on the phone, talk to Mr. Trump, tell him hands off. But no, Canada will be. Canada will be having a vote and getting rid of Chuck shortly. So much for protect the realm. Brilliant stuff. Which brings us on to the next one. Is NATO a busted flush?
Yes. Something like that. Yes. because they're not prepared. The one rule of NATO was attack one of us,
You
you
attack
attack all of us,
Yep.
right? And go on, David, you were actually involved, so you tell me, where did that fall down?
Fell down when one of our own NATO members started threatening other NATO members, and the group didn't get together and say to that NATO member, remember, you attack them, you attack us all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when Trump threatened Denmark to take Greenland, Denmark's a NATO country. Why weren't the rest of us standing around and saying to Trump, attack Denmark and you're going to have to take us all in, Trumpy boy?
Yeah.
When they threatened Canada, Canada's a NATO member.
Yeah.
Where were we all saying to Trumpy boy, hey, oh, so you'd even consider to take Canada by force, would you? Mind you attack Canada, you need to take us all in.
Right. So NATO is now a busted flush. What do you replace it with?
European Defence Agency.
Absolutely. If we set up a European Defence Agency right now, very costly to do, there's already intergovernmental exercises that take place. Yeah,
NATO exercises.
NATO exercises where we Norway or Holland or whatever, right? So really, it's part of the way there, right? You've got to look at from some place. There's got to be a control over it. Now, forgive me for saying this, but the French were very vocal in setting up such a thing in the past. When we looked at it, this was before Brexit.
Yep.
And one of the arguments, they're going to set up a European force. So what? If that European force is going to turn around and attack us, then yeah, all right, I wouldn't want that, right? But for us to be involved in a European force, then that's fine, that's okay.
Can't happen.
Yeah.
The reason why it can't happen is because Trump's got the codes for our nukes.
Doesn't matter.
We would need to become a non-nuclear nation or state.
But fine.
A non-nuclear state.
But what you're saying is we become a non-nuclear state anyway.
No, not really, because we can just go next door to France and say, when does a couple of missiles to put in this boat, will you?
Yeah.
The warheads are ours, it's only the missile, it's just the missile system that's American.
Yeah, that's right. And is it beyond the wit of man to actually jury-rig the odd missile or two? No, of course it's not.
No, of course it's not. But as I say, one of the reasons why it'd be difficult for the UK to join the European Defence Force at this point in time is the nukes. That would need to be sorted.
Yeah.
For me, they could just take them away and get me fucked.
Yeah.
End of. Should have been scrapped by now anyway.
Yeah.
But NATO is a busted flush.
Yeah.
It's over. And it is time for the leaders of Europe to have a look and say what's the biggest threat here. Across the pond in America, up to the north in Russia, across to the other side of the world in China, and start preparing.
Have you heard that the Chinese are getting rather angry at the fact that Trump has said he's not going to stand against Taiwanese independence?
I'm sure the Chinese are angry about that, aye.
Yeah, but no.
Trump's trying to destabilise fucking everywhere.
Yeah. Why?
Absolutely everywhere.
Why? It's a bit like Truss. When she came in, okay, I think she was actually trying to do the right thing as far as she could see it, right? But Trump, definitely, he's come in and he is literally, he's changed the painting of what the world order was prior
And why? I don't know. He's always looking for a good deal. But it's power, of course.
Yeah, I know it's power. I appreciate that. But there are times that you can do things where it's maybe not clever. Yeah?
Yep.
And what's the old saying about sticking the stick in the bear? Yeah?
Poking the bear.
Poking the bear, that's it, right. But people think that's just about the Russians, because we count the Russians as being the bears, right? Not just the Russians, it's the Chinese as well. You poke the Chinese, at some point they're going to come out and go, "Arr," right? So, and you've got to look at the size of China, the size of the army they've got, the kind of munitions that they can. I mean, my goodness me, they've got a space station up there, all the rest of it. They're sending stuff to the moon. What can I say? Yeah, you're not going to take them on easily, right?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Scanner, I haven't heard this way anywhere. Where is it? Why didn't it come up? Russia knows China have plans to overtake Russia and replace as a small state in the Northern Territory. Possibility. Anything's possible these days, especially.
Russia is the biggest country by landmass in the world, right? The problem with the landmass of Russia is the fact that there's a lot of it is uninhabitable.
The only doesn't know that China's in BRICS.
Yeah.
I believe you there, Gingers. Right, let's move on.
BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Yeah. And that's only just the start of it. There's another 47 countries, I believe, that make up BRICS. So, ouch. Your world.
Is the UK the only nation that lets its nukes have another country have its codes? It's nothing to do with the nukes, Nathan. It's got to do with the arming system for the missiles. Mr. E. Thank you very much. Poke the bear and awaken the dragon.
The dragon, that's the one. Yeah, I mean, you got to look back at the chap that went silly Billy. What was his name? The Labour guy.
I don't know, but I want to move on.
Well, no, let's just do this one. He talked about rent a rocket, and he was on about buying Trident from the Americans instead of having our own Polaris system, right? To be honest with you, the idea of renting these systems from another country was wrong. We should have developed beyond Polaris. I don't like nuclear anyway, so that's the idea of having nuclear weapons ridiculous.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, Lauren. Blooming heck, Lauren. Wow.
You tickle the panache, David, and they will bite your hand off. Piranhas, I mean, that's what I mean. Anyway, what do you call it? Let's move on. Now, it would appear that Netanyahu's taking Trump serious and is putting in place, apparently, a road to clear Gaza of Palestinians.
That's until Thursday, when he might have changed his mind. That's the truth of it.
Aye.
Trump will change his mind all the time.
I'll tell you one better than that. The candle's not just on, Duncan. It's a scented candle. So I'll not have to smell burning flesh when you burn your arse on the way up there. Yeah, guy. Thanks very much, Duncan. You're a gentleman.
I think you people get my
Anyway, Rubio was there and all.
video.
Rubio was there on Saturday telling us that Hamas cannot continue to survive in any form whatsoever. As a political force, as a military force, as a force that's capable of governing the Gaza Strip. So,
for a start, anybody that says that, my answer to them would be bollocks. Once you've got an idea of a thing, then you cannot put it back in the bottle. The genie's out of the bottle, so therefore putting it back in becomes impossible.
Well, but more importantly, during that speech, David, Netanyahu mentioned opening the gates of hell if he didn't get all his hostages back.
He didn't do it.
The gates of hell are already opened as far as Gaza's concerned.
Yeah.
You know.
But the idea was, if they didn't let go all the prisoners, the Israeli prisoners from Gaza, then what would happen is that he would go in and start dropping 2,000-pound bombs.
You've got to think about 2,000-pound bombs, haven't you?
I think it's dreadful. I really do. I think that's horrific.
There's nothing left to bomb. It's going to be ground assaults. That's where Hamas have got the upper hand.
I know.
They know the terrain better, and they're trained better in guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
So, 2,000-pound bombs are not going to do any fucking good now.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to hit.
Yeah.
Now, apart from that, they've been carpet bombing the place. Hamas was underground. Didn't even shake their tunnels. You know?
Yeah.
So, but the idea that 2 million people are going to just up and move because Trump wants to build a resort, which of course, folks, he does. But the people who want to live in that resort are going to have to look out in big oil and gas wells, because that's the fucking real story here.
Wow.
That is the real story here, David, don't you think?
Well, I think out of 2 million people, there could be somebody with a real gun that won't miss.
Aye.
And seriously, Trump is playing silly buggers.
Oh, if they ever tried to visit the Gaza Strip, if they ever get their horns in it, to say, oh, we'll put a big hotel here, about a keep dead in minutes.
Yeah.
It'll be dead in minutes. But the notion that these 2 million people are going to leave is just wrong.
Yeah.
They are not. Right, David, I think we've covered it. Trump, folks, is taking up all the news, and it suits your politicians, which means keep your eyes on the prize, and not just independence. I mean local issues as well, national issues, statewide issues, because remember, the UK is not a nation, it's not a country, it's a state. Statewide issues, Europe-wide issues, because Trump is a big distraction. And it means there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing, like the moves to oust Starmer, the moves to oust Rachel for accounts, the fractionalisation of the Labour Party, which is actually going on at the moment.
Yes.
As David was saying at the beginning of the programme, there are moves afoot all over the place, and we're in political establishments.
Yeah.
We keep our eyes very much on what's going on internationally, but even more carefully we've got to watch what's going on at home, because while our press is distracted deliberately by what's going on, things are afoot in the background, like Rachel Reeves talking about extending the fiscal drag beyond 2029, for example. Okay, so that's it for the day, David. I have to say, I quite enjoyed the family debate on on Leslie's working environment halfway through the show. It was an interesting little segue off to one side, not the usual.
Well, I experience it every day in the NHS.
Of course you do. And when we're talking about front-line politics in your particular speciality, in your particular area, we will call on you, Madam Director, as our expert witness.
We're so short-staffed, they don't employ us anymore. There's no staff.
It was the other Madam Director I was talking to.
I said,
And this was, there's only one director. Anyway.
what was it you said? Awaken the dragon.
That's it, don't wake a dragon, eh? Right, that's us on 5 o'clock, James. You know I start work in 29 minutes, so I better get my shit in gear, and I'll still go to schedule Thursday's programme. And no doubt Trump will still be front and centre come Thursday. Oh aye, I should be in for 10 o'clock tonight, folks. Anybody wants to come on for an after show chat in Discord, Shuggy, drop the link into the chat after the show, please. Folks, if you want to come into the after show chat, go onto the video after it ends and you'll see there'll be a Discord link there. Hit that at 10 o'clock tonight because I'll be joining you about between 10 and 11 when I finish work and we'll have an natter. Okay, and that includes you, Mr. Million, if you're up that late.
Yeah, all right. Okay. All I'm going to say is, my words yet again, time for independence, independence, independence. And also, keep your partisan politics in your back pocket and keep your eyes on the prize.
That's the very ones. Bye, David.
Bye, David. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks very much for your super chats. Hit like.